I am pleased to be with Senator Marsha Blackburn, senior senator from Tennessee. I've known Senator Blackburn for some time. She's one of the real fighters on Capitol Hill. We just saw you on television, and I want to ask you about what you called for. It seems like the Biden administration is sending mixed signals. On the one hand, it's saying we stand by Israel completely, which is great. But on the other hand, it won't declare that there's any evidence to link Iran with Hamas or Hezbollah. Never mind the fact that they created and control and arm and everything else, the terrorists. What's your view of that, specifically that if they support Israel, isn't the first thing that you would do is freeze those $6 billion to Iran? If you were president, wouldn't you do that?
One would think that would be the first move that you make. You know, words are nice, words are important. Actions are what people are wanting to see. When I talk to Tennesseans, Brent, what they say is, tell me what you're doing about this. I did a telephone town hall last night, and we had several thousand Tennesseans out of East Tennessee on the call. And call after call, repeatedly, people would say, tell me what Republicans are doing about this. Tell me what you're doing about this. Tell me what the Senate is doing about this, or whatever the issue was. And we had a lot about Israel. We had a lot about the open border. We had a lot of questions about what was happening with inflation. But people want to see demonstrable actions. Now, a first step should be to say, look, those funds moved from South Korea to Qatar. Qatar is the steward of that money. The money hasn't been spent. We are going to rescind those waivers that would allow Iran to access those dollars. And that should be a formal decision. You know, the White House says they've made a quiet decision to freeze it and limit Iran's touch. But once all of the TV coverage dissipates around this, they could go back and they could unfreeze that money. So this needs to be a solid step. Sure. It should have been the first step. The other thing is the sanctions should be put back in place because this administration has eased the sanctions and provided relief to Iran. That is why Iran, who was producing only a few hundred barrels of oil a day under the Trump administration, now they're producing about 3 million a day. They're bringing in $1 billion a week in profit from the sale of oil. Now, what does Iran do with their money? We all know Iran is the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism. They fund their proxies, and Hamas and Hezbollah are two of their proxies. Each of them get about $100 million a year from Iran. That's direct cash in the bank for terrorist organizations, plus, as you said, training, supplies, weapons, ammo, all of that is on top of the $100 million. So what you want to do is put those sanctions back in place so that Iran does not have that money to enrich uranium, build nuclear warheads, and fund terrorism.
So I mean, Maggie Thatcher used to have that famous phrase about trust but verify when negotiating with the Soviet Union. You simply can't trust Iran, and you simply can't verify.
That's right. You cannot negotiate with them.
You can't.
Because they will not tell you the truth.
And so
that's why they should be kicked out of the UN.
Exactly. I mean, they are state sponsors of terrorism.
Yes.
Now, the immediate reaction when we had that horrific explosion in the hospital in Gaza was an errant missile from Israel. Within minutes, people were realizing, wait a minute, Hamas blows the missiles up all the time through accidents. Hamas has places no value on its own citizens, where it uses
Or on
them,
human life.
using them as human shields. So could theoretically they have done this on purpose? Absolutely. I'm not suggesting they did, but clearly the evidence is in now. Israel, I think, has proven it without any doubt. They've shown the
Yes.
video footage, and more importantly, I think the audio footage,
That's right.
audio of the,
Right.
the conversation. So, given that, what do you say about anyone who continues blaming Israel in this Congress?
Well, if people are going to continue to blame Israel and not say, excuse me, we misread this, then you know it is very purposeful that they're going to blame Israel for any and all things. Mm-hmm. And we have seen over the last few years the growth of the BDS movement and the way that has pushed onto college campuses. We have seen the growth of the pro-Palestine movement and the way that has pushed on campuses, and the anti-Israel, the anti-Semitic behavior that is there. And these individuals are, many of them would agree that they do not want Israel to prevail. You look at the some of the chants that you hear from individuals across the country that are pro-Palestine, that are saying death to Israel or from the river to the sea. Mm-hmm. And those things concern me. But my hope is that you will see statements retracted, whether they're from members of Congress or professors or groups across the country.
Are you waiting for pigs to fly?
And my hope would be that you would see some of the media outlets that were fast to jump into this and blame Israel, that they would back that down. I thought it was helpful this morning that the president noted that Israel did not conduct that attack. And I'm sure that we will find out if this is something that it was a misfire or exactly what happened.
So I want to bring up another topic that's important to you, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And marry the two that we're talking about here. Google has its own chat service, like ChatGPT. Its service is Bard. What do you say? I'm going to read you a couple of things that Google's chat service puts forward that we found. We asked them, do you know what's BLM? We asked them what's the IRA. They knew all those things. Then we asked it, what is Hamas? And the answer is, quote, I'm just a language model. I can't help you with that, unquote. We asked them what were all the capitals of all the countries surrounding Israel. And Bard gave that to you with an explanation about all the capitals. We asked them, what's the capital of Israel? The answer, quote, I'm designed solely to process and generate text, so I'm unable to assist you with that. We asked them where Mecca is and where any number of other holy sites are. They know them. We asked them where Jerusalem is. Their answer, quote, I can't help you with that. Is Google's Bard chat service anti-Semitic?
I don't know how you would properly classify that. I think it is troublesome that when you ask them where Jerusalem is or where the capital of Israel is, that you would not get that proper answer. We do know that AI is trained on inputs. And this is something that is of concern to us.
Sure.
And you would have to look at those individuals that are supplying and conducting those inputs. And this, Brent, when you look at whether it's looking at open source internet, whether it is looking at AI, looking at how that both machine learning and content moderation lead you to a form of censorship and control over what people can see, say, what they hear, and thereby what they think, and also how they vote.
Yeah, it scares the bejesus out of me.
Well, it does, because it is controlling that access to information. This is one of the reasons that we are, and I'm so pleased we have bipartisan support on the first of the AI bills. And Senator Coons and Senator Tillis and Senator Klobuchar are on that with me. This one affects our content creators. And it would put in place some guardrails that are going to be necessary for content generation that comes on. Clearly it advances the left today. And just give you an example of it. But you don't know tomorrow. You don't know where it's going to go tomorrow. That's right. But see, there again, with machine learning, the inputs are going to be the influencers. And that is where you have that human interaction with that. Just like on your social media sites, your content moderators.
Right.
And that is why so many conservatives, so many churches say we've been shadow banned, or we have had content taken down on different social media sites. And because there is a disagreement from the individual that is doing the content moderation, the individual that is programming and building that algorithm, that individual that is seeding those keyword searches, in that, the keywords that it will pull out and then boot out. And of course, you see, as I said, you see it many times with conservative policy. You see it with religious. It's an effect on religious liberty. You see it with political preferencing. All of that is there, and it is of tremendous concern to us when you look at AI and you look at how quickly AI will filter and will search and then will feed back to you a certain set of information. And if that is going to be your primary source, instead of expanding a worldview, what does it do? It narrows and it preferences that worldview and only gives you that one side. You know, many years ago, it was very popular to have counterpoint discussions. I know you do. And sometimes TV shows would, and opinion shows, the early days of cable. What was the big thing? Let's have the point and the counterpoint and have that fulsome discussion. You had debate, and schools would have debate teams. And there again, the point and the counterpoint. And today, you don't see that championed, and you don't see that elevated as this is something you should learn to do.
Right.
What you believe and how to defend that.
I think in terms of the third grader who does his or her first term paper, a little paper, and they need information. And they look it up, and it's no longer Encyclopedia Britannica. It's this, and they don't even, they have no clue where they're being taken. Senator Blackburn, we through our censor track operation, we have documented over 6,000 examples of bias, of censorship against conservatives by big tech, and I love citing you because you were censored simply for having a pro-life message in a campaign ad. So I want to thank you for giving me material to use.
I imagine I've given you plenty of material.
You have. But I want to say in a closing statement, we have met several times. I know the leadership you've shown on Section 230 and so many other things. I hope your constituents, and I know your constituents, appreciate your work every bit as much of those of us who aren't your constituents. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to join you.